All right. Hello and welcome to Conscious Conversations. Only starting 59 minutes late, but we're starting, so that's something, right? I hope everyone is having a beautiful day. I know that I am a little slow because I just woke up a little late. Yesterday was my birthday, and I was out a little late. I'm not gonna lie. I had some fun. I got to go be super nerdy with my friends, and I enjoyed that. And other than that, I mean, that's what I got for you, right? But I mean, I really glossed over that. Uh, but I had a lot of fun. Um, yeah, still not awake, but I'm happy to be here either way. And it's just now noon, so that's something, right? I did not miss that time, but that's what's important, right? Just keep your word to yourself. So I got the show on by 11 something, even if it wasn't 11 on the dot. That's good enough, right? Reasons to be grateful. You know, that's a good way to start this conversation that I'm having with basically a mirror because there's no one else on the call. That's okay, right? Uh, I was telling my friends, I was like, no, I can't stay out too late because I really want to be home. I don't want to miss this show. I've done it 2 weeks now. I want to do it the third week. And I think that it's definitely a missing element in more than a few people's lives. And even if it's not, it's a missing element in mine. I realize that deciding to do it weekly instead of bi-monthly, like we were doing it, puts a little extra strain on me. Case in point, I decided Sunday mornings is when my show is going to be, and that always happens right after Saturday night, right? So you can't really do any late Saturday night plans and have a Sunday morning show. It just doesn't work that way. So you don't see a lot of pastors at strip club on Saturday night, right? No, I'm sure there's more reasons than that. But the point remains, it's difficult to stay up late and get up. But you can do it if you have intestinal fortitude. You might be a little late, but you can still show up and do what you plan to do, which is what I'm doing right now. And if you know me personally and you would like to be on this call, all you need to do is send me a private message if you are not in the Spirit Science Slack chat. If you are part of the Spirit Science Slack chat, then the Hangouts link is already in the chat, and you're welcome to join me. But otherwise, yeah, feel free to message me if you want to jump on. But other than that, I think I'm just going to keep rambling because I was talking to Brandon last week, and it was something that we were talking about. Is like I should just start talking to the camera more, so that at least I have the spoken audio, and I can use that to generate videos. Speak of the devil, there he is. You say his name, and he appears.
Say his name. I can see you, but I can't see you. Where are you? Oh, well, oh, here we are. Here I am. Well, hold on there. Okay, here, now I can see you. Speak of, speak of the devil. I'm here, Josh. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Ben, always great, Josh. You know me, as always, just going with the ever cascading flow of life. And that, yeah, I am always jumping, and I always want to jump on board your TV show, your every Sunday, so that we can keep the spark that is the spirit side of family chats alive.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was just talking about that. It's just like it doesn't really matter if anybody ever shows. What matters is that you keep your word to yourself, right? That show
Yeah.
up. And it's a little intestinal fortitude, which was kind of a segue from my reasons to be grateful, which was actually where I learned that phrase, intestinal fortitude, was my teacher, Harry Riley. And he would talk about intestinal fortitude in some of his classes. And I always thought it was just a funny sounding phrase that he came up with. But the more, you know, the more I age, the more I see it's just the choice to get up and do it no matter what. It doesn't matter what your excuses are. You said you were going to do a thing, so you do the thing. And there's something magical about just that, of holding to the course that you set for yourself, regardless of what winds hit the sails.
Precisely, brother. It's like, for example, oh, I can hear some noise at your end. Um, uh, yes, it's precisely what you say exactly, brother. It is like it's like a dream. It is for if I may use myself for example. I say to myself that yeah, I will not give up upon this desire or this dream that I want to do with my life. And many people give up too soon into their dream because of many people saying that they will never accomplish it and they will never do it. And like, if I may quote again, Nietzsche again. It is to fall back into the herd morality and to lose your passion because many the seekers of life and many seekers who accomplish their dreams they're in essence the overman, the superman, and that the people who are amongst the herd morality yanks the people who yanks the overman, yanks the people who want to pursue life back into their way of thinking that it is wrong yet to you must follow to the social core of society and therefore creating a nihilistic world.
That resting back into the herd mentality is that's a heavy concept right there, right? Just that desire to pull up the covers and roll over and go back to sleep.
Yeah, for that mediocre job, for that something that's easy just to get money. It's just because you just do it because you find it easy just to get the money, and you don't want to put the work into it, and that the effect and money will come as a byproduct, an effect from your cause, which is you doing your passion.
Well, and that comes down to that survival fear, right? When we frame it as this menial job is our source of survival, all too often in society, and really and truly, it's not. I lived my life that way for a long time, and it's very high anxiety where you need this job in order to survive. So then any threat against that job is a threat against your survival. You're going to overreact to it. You're going to get way more stressed than you should. And that's going to wind up causing you, conflicts in conversation of some sort. Even if it's just a sour attitude, which spills over into the next person who goes and whispers to the boss something negative about you. you know, all
Mm.
because you were sharing your negative feeling. And I don't mean that, to say that you shouldn't share how you feel, but that doesn't mean you should spread it around, right? Like everybody takes a dump, but I don't want you to put it on me.
That's the most funniest thing a philosophy joke right there. That could be one of those philosophy jokes that you find on the internet. They say everybody takes a dump, but like you don't put it on me. Yeah, that could be a quote right there, Josh. That could be a quote right there. you know but it's precisely what you said. It's exactly true. But if I may quote the Beyond Good and Evil, even Nietzsche says precisely what you said, Josh, and it is that many scholars and scientists in his time, in his era, but of course, we're starting to develop the awareness here that we are more than our bodies. In his era, he went and quoted saying it that we are beings that are controlled by our organs. The world is controlled by our organs. To discount it, it is to reduct the world into a mediocre place of nihilism, if I may use it again, because or as he put it in the mysterious words, he put it as reductio absurdum. So it is here to shrink the world down into a less creative world, and so it creates a nihilistic type of world. So
Yeah.
yeah, and so the world so to merely say that somebody that is wrong to share into their way of life and saying that they're wrong. It is to discount and to make the world. I lost my train of thought. Gosh, it is to shrink the world into a type of just less creative world. To just reduce it into something less creative, less imaginative, to try to get the words out of my brain again, because I sort of lost my train of thought there. But like it is to just shrink the world into a less creative world. If you tell that person that what they're telling you is wrong, man would not survive. If that's what I wanted to say. Man would not survive if we always discounted and discredit a being's assertion that they say that you are incorrect. It is about the progression of thought that it influences both you and him, and evolves your awareness into that moment about what is being discussed. If I feel like I went and steamed off from the train here, and I feel like we derailed a little bit here from my mindset.
I don't know. I mean, basically, the idea is that it's about the nuance rather than, just the text, the context rather than the text. You know, you can't sit there and put everything as items on a checklist and say it's a hard this. You kind of got to entertain all the angles, because if you've already decided what it is, then you can't be measuring to find out what it is, right? That's that scientific mindset, of his kicking in, where he's ever the seeker, and we all are, in a way. I like that reductio ad absurdum. It's
Say, I say root turio, no, yeah, reductio. Yeah, I think that's a more better way to pronounce it that I read from the book. It's a absurdum. It's like to shrink the into a less creative one, that you are merely discrediting all assertions that you are wrong about the world, and you're just shrinking it down to a less creative one.
all right. I was just gonna say it's you don't even really have to know Latin if you speak English to understand that phrase, right?
Yeah.
Uh, to become small, reductio, right? To become small is ridiculous or absurd and absurdum, right? And so that's really what
Yeah.
it's saying there. It's like, here you are, you're a big elephant, and you're trying to pretend that you're a mouse, and that's ridiculous because you're not. Just
Yeah.
own that you're the elephant. It's okay.
Precisely. It's like it's saying that to like accept that you're both elephant and mouse, but it's just or it's just if you allow it and you evolve and you learn from it, like how we've been talking about right now.
Yeah, so I'm running a little late because yesterday was my birthday, and I went out with a couple of my friends, and like I don't know, I did not go out to a strip club or anything like that. Let's be clear. What I did, in fact, was I went to the other side of the big metro area that I'm in, to my friend's house, where we sat for like 6 hours and had drinks and played a role-playing game called the Fate role-playing system, and that was pretty awesome, honestly. I'm playing this 19-year-old kid who's all the way out in. Hey, Morgan's here.
Our first person
Hey,
to
how's
come.
it going? How
How
you
you
guys
doing?
doing?
Hey, hey there, Elder. You're our first person to come back to the chats. You look at you.
Yeah.
How you
Yeah, so
been?
you
And
guys.
We're all excited. We're all
oh, doing great now. So like I haven't actually introduced myself to you formally. Well, my name is Brandon, and I would love to get to know you.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I'm glad I got to meet you in face to face.
I love the magic of the internet. It's like, hey, I know that you live 1,000 miles away, but let's hang out. It's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Oh, I would love to know your name.
My name?
Yes.
Oh, it's Morgan.
Morgan. Okay, lovely to meet you. Because we haven't formally introduced ourselves formally.
Yeah. Yeah, so you're Brandon, right?
Yeah, Brandon.
Cool. Yeah,
Well,
just going. This cruise, and I got some food, and I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta join this. It's cool. Should do it. I just gave it a connection.
I, I was sitting there wrestling because I woke up really late, and I was like, well, do I do it? Do I just say, well, everybody will understand because it's my birthday? And I'm like, well, everybody will understand either way. But I was like, I was thinking about something we talked about, I think the first week, Brandon. So, that whole the movie Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. But you got to actually be there for people to show up. And so it's like you popping in, just a little hello from the universe, going, "See, I told you."
Yeah.
You see, Josh. You Josh, that like we said, we had space for everyone here, and after they started to come, we continue to build it, and they shall come.
Yeah, I've been in the Slack too. I mean, I hear from you guys and read from all your texts and stuff, and it's great.
I love your comic, by the way, of ancient Egypt.
About what?
You want to talk about Egypt?
Your
This is Oregon. Oregon has
Oh.
knowledge on Egypt.
Oh yeah, yeah. I study a lot about it. my spare time or whatever.
Oh, that's awesome, and I love your cartoon character as well. And maybe in the future, as a future project, we can make an animated cartoon based around the knowledge of ancient Egypt, and we can use your character as well, Morgan, if you would so allow us to use it.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've never. You mean like in animation, like
Yeah.
one of the like the Patch movies or shows or whatever?
Yeah, but like more of our stuff. So it's more yeah, just based on the knowledge of ancient Egypt, just like an animation, but more into the future because we're way busy with so many more projects already that we're already doing now.
I'll definitely. I'll be glad to talk about it or post stuff. I always
Awesome.
yeah. I read in the Mythos thing. It's just Slack erased some stuff, but or it's like hidden or something. I don't know.
I see you're rocking your mullet there.
Mm, yeah.
Oh, come on, computers. There we go.
So, Morgan, we were talking about being there, like to stick to your word and having integrity. So, do you have anything to add upon that, like about sticking to your word and having integrity when you say you're going to do something and you will do it?
Oh yeah. I kind of listened to some of the beginning of your video, and you were I think you were talking about like listening to the different things that other people say and stuff, and kind of having constructive criticism or whatever. Is that
Yeah.
part of it? Yeah. Yeah.
Like, do you have anything to add upon that?
Yeah. I mean, I'd just say like the person who's writing it may be just writing it therapeutically for himself and just want someone to hear it. Sometimes
Mm.
people are alone and they just they have a lot repressed stuff. And it's always like, as long as they're willing to accept the input of someone else they're talking to, it makes a big difference for the person who's writing it. I love your animation,
Yeah.
Joshua. That's amazing.
I love it too as well.
Yeah, I have
Well,
no
and
idea how you did that. That's so cool.
it honestly, I did it by Brandon saying, "Hey Josh, would you write an article for a website?" And I was like, "Sure." And so then he sketched this little picture of me, and after I saw that, I was like, "Well, I got to redraw this. This is awesome. I want to make it a full body." And then I got on Character Animator, and I used Photoshop and Character Animator to create a rigged puppet out of the 2D model. And so now I can move around and I can wave.
Oh,
How you
cool.
doing?
That is
And
awesome.
it does the voice tracking for me automatically. It just picks up the sound and matches the sound to the mouth shape.
To your mouth. Yeah, that's so cool.
And I even got my chest to breathe now. So like you can see the chest opening and closing a little bit.
Oh, cool. Oh, you can do a lot with that. All sorts of work.
I want to do something really cool with this. What I had in mind is a lot more difficult to do than I thought. So I have been working really hard to get it, and it's actually put me behind schedule on the project that I was working on with Brandon. So I need to finish the audio recording for him so I can get that over to him. But I kind of got sidetracked this week because Dungeons and Dragons was running a big contest for people.
Cool.
They live inside the continental United States, and grand prize was like $5,000 and a chance to go meet the developers.
Nice.
That's awesome.
That is amazing.
I had to work on that contest, and so that kind of consumed me throughout most of this week. But I made something really cool. I would show it off right now, but I'm pretty sure I'm not allowed to show it off until after they announce the winner, or it could disqualify me.
So you have a character.
I designed a monster for it was designing a monster for a new adventure they've got coming out called
Cool.
it's called The Terror of Undermountain. And so the idea was to create an iconic monster that was the Terror of Undermountain. And so like I can tell you, I went with the idea of like imagine a salamander with a xenomorph head that uses fungus to reanimate bodies.
Oh, that's cool.
That's
So
what
it's
I'm
like-
imagining, sir.
That's
So-
all my week. What have you been up to? Either one. What have you been up to? You doing anything cool this week?
Oh, me?
Morgan? Yeah.
Oh, I went to a party yesterday. I didn't really drink too much, but you know, it was nice. Got to meet with a lot of. I'm in like the furry fandom, so a lot of them, you know, I've known for like 6 years or whatever. And you know, at the end of the party, everyone dresses up as a costume or whatever, and just comes out, or whenever they decide to dress up, and it's always, you know, everyone just loves that. So it's like, oh my gosh. You know, hugs and stuff like that. It's always a positive community. I've been part of the community for like, you know, Arizona's got one of the biggest furry communities ever. Like a lot of their, so one of their manufacturing plants for their stuff is in Arizona. So I used to live in Deer Valley, and Deer Valley was kind of the hot spot for that. And went to a lot of parties back like 6 years ago. And then I kind of sat it out, and then I reconnected with old friends this last weekend. A lot of old friends. So, really fun. I went with my boyfriend.
That's interesting. You know, Venus ended its retrograde on Friday.
Oh,
Oh, I felt like there was some seriously repercussions from that retrograde. Now that you tell me that, Josh, because I tried to do a live stream with Michelle on Tarot, but our connection was so horrible, was so terrible. Like it was so lagging and everything.
Well, Mercury went retrograde the same day Venus left retrograde. So, you know, communication issues. Go figure, right?
Oh my god, it's like, no, we were trying to do that yesterday, and just the connection, it was so terrible whatsoever, and just bless Michelle and her heart, God's sake, she has so much patience, waiting for me to get everything fixed, but after we decided to reschedule for next weekend.
Yeah, one of the things that I was going to let you know about is when you start noticing that you're having a lot of connection issues at certain times of the day, especially, it's usually just network bottlenecking because there's a lot of people in your neighborhood who are streaming right now, right? And so one of the things that like I do is I pick streaming times when like all the kids here at the house, you know, aren't going to be up and watching Netflix. Because that'll bottleneck my connection pretty bad because they're already sending a lot of data through the data point, and that's kind of the deal. Is that sometimes it's like 7 o'clock, you know, or whatever the prime time is, and everybody's gotten home from work, finished dinner, and they're all trying to stream something, and you try to stream or you try to live stream, and you get lag because every router in your neighborhood is pegging out.
Oh, wow.
It happens. And that's one of the problems that you run into with live streaming. And less so in more developed areas, but it still happens.
Yeah, that is true. Well, well, for me, I have been actually working on. I will be having soon 3 projects almost complete. Second is in my very first episode of the root chakra fear. It's almost done. All I have to do is just do one more scene, and also the second project is of course this project with me and Josh that we're doing, and the third and final one, I am actually working on a root chakra meditation, which I can show you here right now. Let
Oh,
me just swap my camera. Can you all see it? Oh yeah, here we are. Here we are.
wow.
Let me push from the beginning. I will give you just a sneak preview here.
Oh, cool.
Oh, I dig that. I love the way you do eyes.
Oh, wow. Is that like chi manipulation or something? What's the circle?
Oh yes, because it's meant to be. Oh, something's wrong with my camera here. Can you guys see me? Hello. Oh, here we are. Okay. Um, it's supposed to be that was just a sneak preview there. Wink, wink. It's supposed to be about like since the root chakra is based upon fear and survival. My character is meant to rise up the light and then after to lift up a ball of darkness, and then he will fuse it together. And like chi, he will have balance and live in yin and yang. So therefore, he has accepted the fear with light, and he's not scared to go into the darkness anymore because he has light in him, and he knows that is not evil, but it is to have balance and harmony with the darkness and light.
Oh, wow. That is awesome.
Thank
So,
you.
yeah, it's like yin and yang.
Yeah, and say since it's the recharge based and survival.
Hmm. So, does it, so are you going through like all the chakras or going through like, what's the chakra thing like? What, it's kind of like the narrative and stuff.
Oh yeah, I will be going through each of the chakras and giving each of the chakras a narrative story to like let's say the process of awakening that specific chakra. I'm going to transform it into a story, which that story is going to lead into a more expansive universe about here talking about life, talking about fourth wall breaking audience and speaking to the audience, talking about life lessons, how to do this, how to do that, stories that I want to create. 3D stories that I want to create as well. But as well, I want to make videos up with physically with myself as well, like sketches, sort of like little plays that I even have one planned already. One that I want to create is called the ego, and it's and yeah, and that's what I want to do.
Wow. Yeah, that's really cool. Probably like really informative stuff too.
Thanks. That's an awesome map there, Josh.
No, I've got it on screen share, don't I?
Yeah, man.
I my character animator was crashing, and so it switched to. Hold on. Let me switch back to so you can see me. Well, I mean, I can show off the map, I guess. Yeah, this is something. So, my daughter and some of her friends, I'm getting them introduced to Dungeons and Dragons, and so I made a map for the town they're going to find themselves in.
Wow.
That's awesome.
It's a lot of fun. I love being. It's basically like being God because I just get to decide who lives where and what their house is. But it's really fun to just get creative, you know. And I was actually watching this Stan Lee and Joe Buscema How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way.
Oh, cool.
There was something that, they both said in there that kind of really struck me. And that was, they were talking about the idea of you may not draw it right the first time, but getting creative, is very much the. Hold on, my puppy's having a nightmare. Bubba. Okay, buddy, you're okay. There you go. Poor guy was having a bad dream. So what they're talking about is basically that you may not draw it right the first time. You just keep practicing, and you'll get it a way that works for you, right?
Yeah.
But the important part in life is just to keep going, keep trying, keep doing, keep being creative with every breath, and that's what really digging in this last couple weeks has kind of done for me. Is it's kind of reminded me of who I was when I got that vision to leave my job, and who I've been this year as I've gone through so much growth and like healing and all that jazz, right? It's been a heavy year, right? And one of the bigger limiting factors for me this year has been trying to get it right. And that's just an idea in the head, getting it right. But is it, is that not any more ridiculous than arbitrarily deciding that we all have to wear, no white after Labor Day or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
Arbitrary rule that we made up in our minds and then decided it was how we had to live. Kind of like what we were talking about earlier, Brandon, where, people get in this job, this dead-end job that they don't like, but it's easy to survive there and they've already identified that they can't lose this job because it's their source of survival.
Mm.
And
shit rules. Right?
sorry, just to throw something in there. It's something that I remember that I wanted to say from what you just said right there, and it's like that Nietzsche said it that like we're beings of a discharge, so that we kind of discounted that we're beings of the senses that we have in our organs. So we always need something to discharge our emotions. So exactly as you say, Josh, that it is our will to power to discharge anybody who threatens our will to power, who threatens our way of life. So that's why as you say, Josh, when you become accustomed to that type of specific job and they're being threatened, they say that you shouldn't be doing it, you should be doing your passion. They naturally, with their will to power, they're trying to fight back and discharge those emotions because you're threatening their way of life. And that's the thing, but they're not aware that they're not following who they are. But how do I know? But just they're not following who they are. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot like. Oh, sorry, Morgan. Go ahead.
I just wanted to add to watching your art and stuff. I was thinking to myself, wow, that's a lot of attention to detail, and like when you kind of add that, it kind of that's your kind of a personal perfection is just going over and learning what looks what do you want to change and what you like in it. And I don't think perfection's should be defined by what you think, what your opinion is. I mean, I know like people hold up quality criteria and stuff, but that's what I call it my job is like, oh, this is a critical issue or not, blah blah blah. And you know, when it comes down to that, I mean, it's tough to put up like you know, a criteria that defines something, you know, that's perfect. And you know, unless it's a safety issue, like some of my job stuff, you're like, I have to get the code right. But like with art, you know, you have a lot of creativity there, and you can kind of keep adding little details and keep changing little things, and you know, then you know that that's kind of your definition of how you want to present, you know, your the material that you're putting out. And you know, it's a big thing, I guess, like just you know, having your own passion and your own vision and your own artistic you know, qualities that you kind of put together, and you know, you learn a lot of different things along the way. You know, like you said, the more time you put into it, the more stuff you get out of it.
And then that's it right there. You know, I wanted to follow up what you said there for Brandon. Let me skip back, and then I want to come back to what you were just talking about, Morgan. Uh, Brandon, you were talking about, you know, where even if you go and try to help someone who's in that dead end job and kind of show them that if you just work on your passion, the money will show up. You know, it's why they react so defensively is you're right. It's right in that survival mode. It's kind of like if you ever had a dog or a cat and they got their leg stuck in a trap, even if it was just a glue trap. After a while, they start freaking out, right? They start panicking, and they're flooding their body with cortisol. And if it's been long enough before you found them like that, they're in a full-on panic mode. And so any attempt to approach them at that point, even though they're your dog or your cat, they still growl at you. They still snap at you. Why is that, right? It's not because they don't love you, but because they are doing the best they can in that moment to make it okay for themselves for that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's no forethought going on right then. It's all momentary, and in the moment, they're in great pain. Even if that pain is, this is unusual, you know, just from having glue stuck on their leg, that still feels weird, and there's a clunky thing every time they walk, and that scares them, right? And if it's an actual trap, it hurts, right? So of course they're freaking out. It's kind of the same deal as we're in this mental trap of, you know, I have to keep this job because I won't survive without the money it's going to give me. Like, there isn't a bunch of money, infinite number of other sources out there. Like, that's what you're saying when you say I have to keep this job. But, you know, I get the idea of being comfy. I like it myself. I mean, obviously, you can tell I'm very comfy. I got like 2 throw blankets right there. But at the same time, I have no problem with getting up and doing the thing, right? And I think that a lot of us were told that you should keep your head down, answer your test, don't look at anyone else's tests, and just do this. And it kind of got us in that, you know, cubicle mindset to an extent where it makes it easy to just operate in day to day. But easy isn't really what we want. You know, it was something that our culture wanted 50 years ago, but now we want complexity, right? We want rhythm, nuance, you know, subtlety. And if we're going to achieve those as a culture, it's going to take a lot of people having a transformation in, you know, their life, and not on any more foundational of a level than, is this what I want to do every day?
And
Ask that question. Go ahead. Sorry.
and if I may add on that as well, Josh, man has lost himself so much that he has found himself only in a world of appetites. And the second thing that I wanted to say as well, it is that it is precisely that as well, that it is our yearning and our desire for being comfy in the world that has led us to become lazy and to leave off the search for life, quote unquote, because because in essence we're it's a double-edged sword here. We're both evolving in our way of comfort, but not in our way of evolving to better the world and ourselves as a whole. You know that whole jazz, yeah, the both of you. You know that whole jazz. And just like how Nietzsche and also the Celestine prophecies, you guys get to know about that book, don't you? The Celestine prophecies. Even Stephen King, if I remember correctly, is that his name? The author of the Celestine prophecies.
Stephen King writes horror, and he writes great horror. It was James Redfield who wrote the
James
Celestine
James Redfield. Even James Redfield, he wrote down in the book that one of the insights was that it is our realization that there is something greater than us, and then after it pulls us into discovering and learning about the world and such, and then that realizing that it is by time already now to evolve from our way of comfort and to evolve and then after to have the strength to go through hardship and to work your ass off to achieve whatever you want to do, and also with the fluent energy harmony with another being. So those I am adding another insight here, but it's to just really just to get off your butt. That's what the Celestine prophecies was in essence saying, just to keep it short, just to get off your butt. That's all.
I think you just helped me understand my purpose in life. I'm not even kidding. Like, I'm having a deep, like, moment here. And I didn't mean to cut you off, Morgan. That was really heavy because I wanted to argue with you, right? My instinct was to go, no. But it's basically what I was just saying, you know? But I think it's that I see in our culture the idea of get up and work is prized, all right? It's something that is barked at the young by the old, right? And I think that there's a loss of understanding because of a mistranslation in the way that the generations use that word, right? Because really and truly, a lot of those people who are saying get up and work, it's not what we're thinking of when they say that, because we think get up and work means go do this thing that you hate to do. That you don't want to be there, right? And so because that's the definition for work, I can't tell you at that point you should get up and work because it won't achieve the objective. Because you won't be getting up and doing the thing you love to do. Right? You're already looking at the thing you don't want to do because money is the objective, because that's why you work. That's what everyone was told, right? And the thing is, it's about get up and play. Have fun with your life. Because that's exactly what you're talking about right there. But don't play small. To go back to earlier, don't play small, play big. Don't shrink yourself down, as Nietzsche would say, reductio ad absurdum. Don't shrink small, play big. Have fun with what you're doing, If that means, hey, you have social anxiety about, your appearance or perfectionism or obsession, whatever your issue might be, I'm speaking from my own personal experience there. Make a cartoon character and make it talk for you and live stream that way using OBS Studio. I recommend it. It's a lot of fun. Just up and turn the camera on and start talking, as Brandon told me last week. And that actually, that's the same advice in different words that one of my best friends, he gives me, left foot, right foot. If you know where you want to go, all you have to do is aim in that direction. And left foot, right foot. You'll get there. And that's the deal. But don't make it a chore that you don't want to do, right? I say, oh, I'm not where I want to be, and it's going to take so much work to get there. What are you doing? You just like shooting yourself in the foot? I mean, what's going on, right? Don't do that. Love yourself a little more. I swear it won't kill you. All right? And when you want to go left foot, right foot, you can do it. Because if you make a game out of it, right? Instead of making it a chore, make it a game. It doesn't matter how mundane the task is. You can play with it like you were a kid. Yeah, other people might look at you like you're batshit nuts. That's okay. Be a little batshit. Add some story to your life. Add a little character. It'll be okay. Have fun with it, right?
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like, instead of chasing money, like, try to chase your, I don't know how to explain it, like your ambition and stuff. Like, even if it's doing something you don't like, just keeping ambitious and keep doing it, kind of brings along, a sense of accomplishment, even if it's not even like something substantial. And kind of
that right there. That's it.
Precisely.
It's that reward, It's because it's all risk and reward. I really like that idea from psychology. And so you're always risking something. The question is, will you get a reward out of it? Right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you already have the anxiety. You might as well get a reward with it. Because if you've got anxiety so you don't get on camera, you might as well have anxiety on camera at that point. You already got the anxiety. You're not getting rid of that, apparently. So you might as well just roll with it. You are what you are. It's okay.
Turn a weak point into a strong point by just going through and doing it. Just jump in and it doesn't. It may be fearful, but once you kind of get used to it and do what you what you set out to do, it becomes something. It may become something you enjoy.
And
Go
then
ahead.
just to add on to like both of your points, both of your perfectly beautifully illustrated points right there. It's exactly how you said it, that if I may quote Marcus Aurelius from the book of meditations that he written down, he said that, like you said, just about getting up and doing something that you don't like. He went and quoted in his book, saying that when you get up, you must think about, are you doing a man's work or are you doing something that you love? And also, just to quote another of what Josh said, to Nietzsche, even Nietzsche said it that we must love our past with amor fati. It is to love one's past in experiences that what they have experienced in life. Mm-hmm. And then at the end of everything, we must accept our past and know that we will be fine. My life may crumble down. My life may crumble down. I may lose relationships here. I may do that. I may do this. But at the end of everything, I am fine. I can rebuild myself because I have the strength of 1,000 suns, and those suns are burning brightly within me. I can rebuild what has been destroyed. What is dead will return to life. And I forgot who said this. Even I forgot who said this. I think it was Terence McKenna or somebody else, but I forgot who said it. The quote was stated as such: "Man makes hard what God makes fun." So life is just fun. It's just here. When I hear of my friends and family saying that they hate life, that's absurd. Life is what gave you, why? Life is what gave you essence. Life is what gave you the unique individuality to express yourself in this unique universe that we're in. So instead of saying I hate life because of what you're experiencing right now from your own experience and where you are right now in life, you should exchange it for, okay, just to be crude here, I dislike society. I hate society. So at that point, it will give you an awareness saying, okay, if I hate society and not life, because life is what I am and that's beautiful and that's I'm here, what can I do to change it? What
Mhm.
can I do to change who I am? So be the change you want to see, Mars, and you and your adventure will not be met with folly, but with virtuous attempt.
Man,
Wow.
that sounds really heavy. You know, what can you do to change society or the world? That still feels heavy, right? And I think that you hit on the key in your example, where you took them from "I hate life" to narrowing it down to, well, not really life, but society. I would say maybe go further on that same principle and say, well, maybe it's not even society that I hate. It's just that I hate that people suffer, and I hate that it seems like society doesn't care. I hate that it seems like, to me, there are people, there are children who are homeless and starving, and nobody's doing anything about that. You know, and so I like that. I like where you're going there. I just think I would say go a little further with narrowing it down, because until you narrow it down to that specific thing, you haven't deactivated all that negative energy you're sending out towards everything.
Mm,
That's true.
yeah,
Like just drilling down onto the root problem. Like it's like I don't know, kind of in the business world. Like you may have like something that's affecting your major budget, and then you look and say, okay, I'm going to drill down on what department's doing it. Who specifically is the one who's doing it and why, and just keep
yeah,
going down into that. Yeah, and
I
you can
was,
kind of
yeah.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
But you had, when you, before Brandon took us to the Nietzsche and Aurelius, uh, something you said reminded me of when I was a kid. And my mom took us to Greers Ferry Lake, and they have these cliffs that are about 20, 25 feet above the water that you can jump off of and dive off of, right? But I mean, as a kid, I'm like maybe 3.5 feet tall or so. That's a long ways.
Yeah.
I was terrified, right? They might be a little taller actually, but I'm not. They're not too tall. But they seemed forever distant to me. And you could swim over here, or you could get out and you could go around, you could climb up and you could get on the cliffs and you could dive. And so I would just swim every time we went out there. But I had twin sisters. All right, my sisters, they're twins and they're Geminis. But and they are 4 years younger than me. You know, and I think they were maybe 6 or 7, and they went up there and started diving. And I'm like, how can I be too scared and they can do it? And they're having so much fun, right? And so I went up to try. And in my head, I would die if I fell from that height. And so I walked up to the edge and I looked over, and reality started closing in on me, and I was getting tunnel vision, and I backed away and I got the shakes, and I was too scared, and I went back down and I swam for another 30 minutes. And I think it was my aunt Diane or my mom won, and they they basically said the same thing to me that you had said, where they were just saying it seems really scary until you make the jump. Once you make the jump, all the scary goes away, and you just have the ride to the water, and then you get to swim out and show everybody that you can do it. And that's the plunge right there. It's like it's the whole reason we like roller coasters as a culture, right? Or any kind of thrill-seeking activity, hang gliding or base jumping or whatever it might be. I like spelunking in caves.
Oh, cool.
Whatever your thing might be, right?
So overcoming that fear and stuff too, just being able to do it.
Right? It's literally just that moment where you cross over the event horizon and you're doing it. And as soon as you get over that, it's nowhere near the wait. And if you do it enough, it becomes a game and you can play with it.
Precisely that. And if I remember, I think it was either Plato or Marcus Aurelius that said this. Is that there was a term to break something down, like both you said. That's what I forgot to do it. Like exactly as you said. That's what I should have said as well. I in my little speech that I said that. It's about like once you ask yourself that question, you gave yourself that awareness. Break it down to what it is. Break it down. Go inside of it and mash it up. Play around with it a little bit until you understand its root cause. And once you understand that, then I ask yourself this: what can I do to change it? And then after, take that and risk there. So therefore, you can start to make actual change that you want to see and be in society. That's precisely there, and I loved your experience and your story, Joshua, which is humbly connected to what we were talking about this, because it's just simply beautiful. Your story there.
And that's the deal. We all have that, because to come back to Terence McKenna, because that was Terence McKenna that said that. The world is made of words, and if you know the word, the right. I don't remember. I'm going to butcher that quote. I'm no Jason Silva. I'm no quote singer. He's like a gunslinger, but with quotes, right? Just like, bam, got one on point. It's beautifully spoken every time. But if the world is made of words, and if you know the words, for what you want or whatever you see, obviously, but basically, if you know the right words, you can make of it whatever you want, and that's kind of the deal. We are stories, and we are made of stories. We're just a big composite of all the things that have happened to us. And it's how we choose to package those stories that creates the presentation we give to the world of who and what we are.
That's what they call in Egyptology the Ba, pretty much. The personality, all the traits that you've experienced throughout your life. Really just, when it comes down to the core layer, they have all these different components of the soul, but the two important ones is the Ka, which is the vital spark, and then Ba, which is the personality and all the traits and all the memories and everything that you've collected throughout your lifetime from start to finish.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh gosh, I never knew that. I never knew that knowledge from Egypt. Wow.
Yeah, they they say that if you when you die and you go westing with the setting sun and stuff, you get through all the gates and stuff, and they have the judgment and stuff. What happens is the Ba and the Ka are combined together to make an Aku, which is the kind of, it works kind of as an archetype, but more it's kind of the complete essence of someone where their personality is tied back to their vital spark. And not only that, in the dimensions that the Duat explains, you get all your senses back from doing that. So not only are you able to operate the same way that you're doing now, you're also able to operate with higher awareness and physics and stuff. You also come together as a whole being, where your entire life and your memories and stuff and your Ba become tethered to your Ka, and then when it does that and becomes an Aku, your eternal vital spark becomes combined with the Ba, and then essentially all of that is placed into the body of I think it's within the Sahu. It's like the, oh shoot, I forgot the name of the spiritual body in that, but it's a complete body where not only you've combined your higher self with your lower self. You retain your memories of this incarnation, and then furtherment of what your higher self knows, which is all the other experiences that you've had in all your lifetimes. And then when you restore your five senses and all those other external senses and things, the life that you choose, right after you get through the judgment, you get if you're accepted, you're not kicked out, or they call it like a bouncer. That's essentially what you do. Is it's just a sorting process for the realm, and at that point you can either enter the realm or you can go to someplace else. It doesn't really matter. It's just kind of like they have a process of when you die, you don't you have to find you're kind of shattered, and you have your vital spark, and you have to get like Ra will guide that onto his solar barge and lead it through all these trials and tribulations and stuff like that as he crosses. Well, he mostly handles that, but when you do reach the fifth and the sixth gate, which is the center of the night, they go by the 12 hours of the night and 12 hours of the day. We have the 12 hours of the day, and then when the sun sets, it is considered going to the underworld, and then those who die set with the sun, and they end up going across the solar barge. And if you saw I had a video of it's called The Journey to the Duat, and in that video they show the pharaoh when he passes away, his essence, not only does it leave his body and set with the setting sun, it hits. The point of it is it says, and I have a quote where it says, the fundamental thing that puts the nature of the Duat into doubt is the fact that to encounter Osiris, you have to pass through Orion, and therefore off the ecliptic. So setting with the sun, you go off the ecliptic, and you end up going through Orion, which is kind of like, there's like, what do you call it? It's like not really a stargate, but more literally a star. Like, have you ever seen Mass Effect, like a mass relay? So that's what they kind of consider when you're setting with the setting sun. You're moving into the underworld, into the sun, and then off to the Duat. I think that's the right way it goes, through the halls of Amente, and then out into the judgment halls, and then they have this giant building. It's like a big square, and when they have the judgment hall down the center, they have all that. And then when you do appear in the next realm, it's like walking out of a temple. It's an interesting transformation and experience. And then there you are, you're at that realm.
That's awesome. Gosh, I mean, it reminds me of sort of like reincarnation, and it reminds me of sort of like the Book of the Dead, where the Buddhists they go through those paths. My knowledge on the Book of the Dead is a bit lacking here, but it's like going through those paths, and then after you're being tempted by certain Naruto, you reunite again. I think it's with him with the all with the nothingness, and you return back and you decide whether or not to reincarnate or not. Seriously, my knowledge from the Book of the Dead is completely lacking here. So feel free to pile on where I want to begin.
Oh yeah. Well, as you pass through the gates, you do find different trials. You have to, you know, you can just like the Book of Annie, which is the Book of the Dead, is really a cheat sheet for Annie. I guess he didn't really know what he was doing in the afterlife, but you know, he's just like, okay, you know, there's a gate with serpents or whatever, and then you just say some sort of word. You speak the name of that god, that even if it's like a serpent, you know, guard or whatever. If you speak the name of that guard, you have the not only you have familiarity, you have power over that guard to go forward. It's pretty much kind of saying your free will is accepting of this, and eventually you get to the there's 42 confessions of Mott, and that's in the judgment hall. You have the 12 judges, or I think it's 12 or 24, I don't remember, but they list out questions. It's not just like, have you done this? Have you done that? You know, they ask like that, but you have a default response to everything, and that's, I have not done this or that. You have to say that, and then what it does is it is a very efficient way of telling if not only someone's lying, which it forces someone to tell the truth or lie by just answering the same thing over and over. It checks your auric values and sees any change in that, you know, and it sees dysfunction in your body. I mean, that's what the main thing with the heart is that's why the importance of the heart is the central kind of essence of weighing the soul. That is affected after the 42 negative confessions. Once those are said, the heart is weighed, and then if the heart is heavy from those or light from those words, then it will be weighed against the feather of truth, which means it will tell immediately if you are lying on these I did not things. And if you lie too much on the I did not things because you did those things, then it's all judged. If you see the Anubis has that little slider on that, you've seen those doctor scales. It kind of, you know, it's not exactly like you would say, oh, it's lighter than a feather. It's like, are you lighter than a duck or whatever from like Monty Python? It's not exactly like that. It's more like the heart after judgment or whatever. It's weighed in notches against the if you look at the pictures, and that notch is like the counterweight to tell how pure you are and stuff like that. Any other thing that the confessions have pulled out of you. And that's pretty much the determination if you're going to be accepted into the duat, into the realms of Amenta and further, you know, further on. If you get rejected, Ammit will, when they say Ammit consumes the soul, it's not like it's destroyed. They say that it falls to the hours of chaos, but essentially that means you got kicked out. I mean, it just like spits you right back out into no time. It's a period. The hours of chaos have no time to them, and that's where Apophis, the snake, first formed the first living sphere, which is Atum. Atum was the first living sphere, and it's where the water snake living within the Nu, which is the waters of potentiality and the hours of chaos, started wrapping itself around itself and created kind of an Ouroboros thing. And by doing that, Atum was born. And Apep continually tried to swallow Atum to return him back to non-potentiality. But what Aten, I mean, not Aten, fuck Aten. He's a black hole who's Akhenaten made up and destroyed Egypt. Another story. If you want to know why Egypt is so destroyed, just look at Aten. If you look at those pictures of those two creepy looking alien heads and then holding the souls, they're feeding all that to the black. It's called the Black Sun. I mean, I've seen, you know, renditions of it. It looks like this. The Black Sun that Akhenaten created. He wanted to become Atum again. He wanted to become the initial god. So he destroyed all the guards and wiped out their names from cartouches and destroyed their statues. And all the pharaohs, they offered their Coptic jars up to this thing that was like a black hole, and it's a god that sucked the essence out of everything. If you look at the little hands coming down Aten, they're not handing out anything. They're taking stuff up, and that's what Aten tried to do. And fortunately, when after Akhenaten pulled that, Egypt was just wiped to dust. And then what happened was Horus, and this is after Horus defeated Set and all this stuff and became King Horus and all that's past history. You had Unas who tried to consume the gods and try to become a more powerful god than them, but that failed in his dynasty. And several dynasties later, you know, these deformed freaks, like, I mean, I absolutely detest what Akhenaten did to the legacy of Egypt, because he basically destroyed it. You know, what he did was when those beings like the gods got sucked into Aten's realm, which is a really, really hard physics piece of crap realm, like deep, you know, black holes actually, when they suck the essence in, it starts creating a density. So that density of the black sun disk or black sun, whatever you want to call it, it was overcome by Horus. And then that's that's when Horus became Ra Haraki, which is Ra combined with Horus. And because Ra, the sun, was consumed by the black sun disk, it came to pass that Horus pulled himself out of it. And when he did that, he became combined with Ra, and he became Horus the Elder, which that's where they have these elder and younger, because they had to start the whole process over again to get everyone out of that freaking dungeon. Like, if you explain it, like, you know, the way I've renditioned it in my mind is they were not eternal beings like in the as with an Aku, and they can remember all their things. They were not humans where they couldn't, you know, they had some past and they kind of can figure things out. They were literally compounded down to the form of crystals, the essence of crystals on Earth, and living as a crystal. And that's how crushed the Egyptian gods were into that black hole, if defined. And they had to pull themselves out of that. And Horus was the first one to do it, and that was the rebirth of Egypt. But by that point, Egypt was a ruin. So that's the history there. I don't know.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So some other history with that, you know, it has I kind of went on a tangent with Akhenaten, but I was talking about Atum. Atum, the original god, was created by the sphere of influence that the Ouroboros did. It created a time-space encapsulation, and that became the they had Ra didn't come along first. A lot of people think that Ra was like the initial thing. Ra was born from the phoenix that was born on the mountain, and what happened was you have Geb, and Geb was the earth god, which was the earth coming out of the water, and then you had Shu, which was the air. So you had water and air, but their parents were Shu and Tefnut, my bad, and Geb, and man, I can't believe I forgot the name of the girl who was lifted up, but basically they say that the sky was lifted from the earth, and that went by. There were two beings, and then, you know, because of their relationship, the mountains pulled the sky upwards, and that became the sky and the earth. Now you have their parents, who are other components, and that would be Shu and Tefnut. Those are the two, like, higher level gods. Where when I think it was Shu and Tefnut, one of them ventured out, and as the story goes, they used to live in Atum. In Atum's, because that one ventured out, one of them ventured out into the Sahu, which is the kind of the sea of potentiality within Atum, then moved out of Atum itself and became what do you call it? A being that's outside of the hours that were defined within the circle of Apophis. And that went out to a distance out into the hours of the chaos, which was the new. And then when Atum sent Atum sent his eye to go find that, I think it was I don't remember. I think it was Shu or Tefnut, one of them. And then the other one went out after. No, I think they both ventured out actually. But now I think about it. But Atum sent his eye to go find them, and then by doing that, a lot of self-awareness was born. So because the right eye of Atum was sent out to find them and bring them back, all of that distance and stuff further expanded Atum, and that gave rise to Geb and the Sky. I forgot her name. And then from that, the Phoenix was born on the mountain. That was Ra. And then as Ra progresses down, you have the four children who are Osiris, Isis, Nephthys, and Set. And as the story goes there, they were in two relationships where Osiris and Isis were in a relationship, and Set and Nephthys were in a relationship. And what happened was, Set was jealous of Isis and Osiris's love because he was sterile. The black desert of the Lower Egypt is black, not because it's sterile, but it's fertile, really fertile, because Nephthys was a kind of a god of fertility, but Set was sterile, so he could never have a kid. So what happened was Osiris, under intoxication, ended up getting seduced by Nephthys to have a kid, because she's a fertility kind of goddess, and Osiris is the god of the corn. So he was able to give his seed to Nephthys. And basically, that's how Anubis was born. But furthermore, my suspicion, and this kind of shows how devious Set is, he ended up, in my suspicion, possessing Osiris under intoxication to bring him to Nephthys, to pass his essence, even though he couldn't have a kid naturally with his essence, his seed, because he has no seed. He was able to pass his traits into Osiris to bring in himself into the newly born Anubis. But the thing was, he played kind of a game, or at least this is what's written, is Nephthys hid Anubis because he was afraid of the scandal, or she was. And Anubis pretty much grew up with dogs. But at the same time, when Anubis he was found by Isis, and then taken in by Isis and Osiris. But Set was framed Osiris and then killed him for having a child. I think that was it. Yeah, that's right. Killed him for having a child later, I think. No, there was a lot of confliction. So there's a lot of years right there. Anubis grew up. And then eventually Set kills Osiris. And then when Set kills Osiris, everything's chopped into, I think it was like 12, 11 pieces, but one was not found, 10 were or something. And the one that was not found was his reproductive gland. It was eaten by a fish and never found. So when all the parts were brought together to bring his Aku, not his Aku, his Ka-Mba, and they wanted to put it back in the Khat, which is the body. Instead of having him return to the underworld, he was supposed to come to his body. But because he was in pieces and stuff, and they couldn't find all the pieces, he couldn't come back. But Isis ended up having relation with him, even though he was in a kind of a comatose or dead state, and was able to birth Horus from that. and Osiris became the god of the underworld because he had to return to the underworld. And then that's why you see him sitting, and when you greet us, when you pass the scales of Ma, you end up talking to him basically, and you have to just like say, you know, he gives you kind of an introduction or whatever, and then you know he's been the lord of the underworld, while Horus has been the king of the Duat, and Set has become kind of a he became a good guy later. I know there's a lot of like musings of the gods and stuff, kind of like Greek mythology, but he became a good guy later when they had to fight Aten. When everyone had to go against Aten, every single god went against that, because that thing was destroying all of their legacy and their cartouches and their essences and everything. And people practice in secret and try to keep the memory of the gods alive. And when they ended up having to combat Aten, even from what I understand, Aten, Apophis couldn't even fight Aten, a snake that was trying to encapsulate and create Aten, which is our realm, couldn't encapsulate Aten either. But what I understand from physics is that that there was a point in time where there was a I forgot where I was going with this, but a lot of interesting stories, huh?
I hate to cut you off, but my kids are knocking and they're ready to get started. So I've got to call this for the day.
Okay.
I really want to actually sit down and do a show on Egyptian lore really soon.
Yeah.
I'll message you because I would like us to continue this conversation.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That'd be awesome.
Stories. I got so many stories. It's ridiculous. Like any stories like I find, I could just go on and on.
And then that would be an awesome cartoon as well.
Morgan?
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you very much.
I'd love to do that.
I have got to go. So let us say adieu until next week. And
Okay.
remember, have fun.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you, Josh.